Natasha, it was the British that kind of set up the railway network in India, and this was centuries ago, I think in the 1800s. So clearly, it's an old network that needs to be constantly upgraded and needs constant maintenance. Having said that, these kind of collisions were fairly common till a couple of decades ago, but nowadays, because of investments, because of improvements in advances in technology, a train to train collision is actually fairly not very common. It's fairly rare.
So what is mainly causing the accidents that we do see? Because, and I'm also just interested to kind of understand who this impacts the most, because I know as a tourist, having traveled and even lived in India, I took the train all the time. I took sleeper trains. Is this something that the average person should be concerned about?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, like you mentioned, the railway network in India is literally the lifeline of the country. And despite, we have a vast network of roads and now we have cheap flights. But the fact is, railways forms the bedrock for travel, for transportation of goods. It is the economic lifeline. And for so many, the poorer, especially the poorer and the low-income group in India, it is their only way to travel. Even today, despite the roads and the flights, it is the cheapest and the most cost-effective and efficient way to travel to any part of the country. So it's absolutely critical, and not just for tourists like you, Natasha, for like 25 million, that was the number you said, right? We use it every single.
So why isn't this being solved? I mean, where is the money going? When we know how much this industry makes for India itself, you would think that the government would have this as a top priority. But are we seeing kind of any action being taken to tackle this issue?
It is priority. I mean, there's no doubt about it. We have a separate railway budget. Apart from the general budget, the railways has always been priority. The thing is, it is humongously large, right? It covers about 100,000 kilometers across the country, even to the smallest villages. And although in the recent times, there has been a tremendous kind of budgetary allocations, I think the last budget it was close to 2.6 lakh crores. I mean, that's a huge number. I don't think it's right to see how much revenue Indian Railways is making. I mean, it is profitable, but I don't think that should be the key. It's making money. Is it doing enough? I think the government needs to put in a lot more because, like we discussed, it is so critical for the country, for the economy, for its people, for the social fabric, for transportation. I mean, so many issues that the government needs to put in, not just allocate funds. I think that is being done already, but to make sure that the funds are being used effectively. And part of the problem is the huge size. I mean, there has been this push on upgradation. Tracks are being changed. There's this new focus on high-speed trains, and thousands of kilometers of tracks are being upgraded to kind of manage that every year. But it's somehow never enough, right? Because the scope is just so large and it is so overstretched, and there is so much stress on the system that it's constantly we're playing a catch-up game.
Well, obviously it's kind of it's fascinating to me to hear about this just because, we know how fundamental this system is to life in India and we keep on seeing these terrifying collisions. I mean,